let's talk about Devin. And as most of you know, Devin's a friend of mine. We go back in the day from playing Call of Duty together, and we kind of reconnected when he moved out to LA to work for a very dysfunctional mutual acquaintance of ours. But tell us about your relationship with Devin.
I met Devin when he was bartending at Bar K, this dog bar here. It's a dog park with a bar.
He told me about that. That actually sounds amazing.
It is, and it's like such a hot spot. Oh my gosh, it's incredible how successful it is. And within the first 5 minutes, he asked me, "How are you doing?" And I was just like, I'm okay. I'm good. And he's like, "How about a real answer instead of one of these like fake answers that everybody gives all the time? Like, how are you really doing?" And this was April, and everything happened with Austin in November. I was like, well, honestly, my boyfriend committed suicide about 6 months ago, and just there was a lot of stuff that happened with that, and just seriously processing it. So you wanted to know the answer, and I had like a beer or two, and just was like, fuck it, he's asking for the truth, so I'll give him the truth. And he's like, "Oh, my mom committed suicide 4 months ago." And I was like, who is this person who can talk to me? Like, nobody has been able to talk to me in years with Dan and now Austin. And like, this person is like not afraid of this conversation and actually has a relatable story. And wow, haven't met anybody like that in a while either. And we just started talking, and he would like, other people would come up and try to get beers, and he would just like be serving them, but also having a conversation with
Sounds
me.
like Devin.
Not a very good bartender thing to do. And like, neither of us cared. We were just so like wrapped up in whatever it is we were talking about. I could not tell you what it is now, but and it only lasted like 45 minutes, and then I was like, well, I've got to go, otherwise I'm just gonna keep drinking. And he was like, well, do you want to go out on a date sometime? And I was like, sure. He's like, how about Tuesday? And I was expecting like on a weekend some sort of like party thing or whatever, and I was like, sure, Tuesday's fine. And then we went out to sushi and went furniture shopping.
Wow.
And so it was just very different, all at once, all at first. He is still a good listener. He likes weird things like I do. Like, I like witchcraft, and he bought me like a history on witchcraft book, and just thoughtful like that. And then he also didn't drink, and he didn't smoke, and he never had an issue with that. It wasn't like, I'm trying to be sober. It's just like, oh, I've never done it. I don't really struggle with that. And that was a big thing for me. And then he's like, oh, I'm military. And I was like, that's really cool. I've always admired people like that. And then he's got tattoos, and he was hot. And I was like, you're great on paper. You're great in person. And then he's like, let's get married. And it was like 2 months into it. And wow. I was like, okay. And to be honest, at that point, since the love of my life was dead, I didn't think I was ever really gonna marry for love anyways. And here is somebody who was good and who said that he was gonna take care of me when I hadn't decided to go back to school yet, but I really wanted to. And just the thought of like trying to take care of my own life and school at once, it just sounded so very overwhelming. And he's like, I will take care of you. Go to school. Like, I've got this. And then we got married, and then the pandemic happened, and everything changed.
Did you have any idea that he was depressed before you guys got married? Yeah, you guys talked about it?
Yeah. I thought he knew. Yeah. I mean, it was so obvious. And like, like the things that we had talked about before we got married and before he even asked me, I was like, the level of trauma in his childhood and the fact that his mom had committed suicide, which then we found out later she didn't actually.
I heard that too. Yeah, it's
crazy. Yeah. And like just the level of like unawareness from her aspect of like how she affected him, and then it makes sense now how unaware he was of how it affected him too. But I just thought he knew. I thought he knew, and I thought that was one of the things that we had bonded on, was like our traumas and the fact that we like still are dealing with them.
Yeah. How did you guys deal with that on a day-to-day basis? I mean, you know, you both have had some really fucked up shit happen to you. Like, you know, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, you're going to have days where like someone's good, someone's up, you know, and then there's someone's down and not feeling great. Like, how did you guys manage that?
I'm a big communicator. I'm a big talker. I know how I'm feeling and what I'm feeling, and I know how to put it into words. And I know that I should say it now instead of boiling over and exploding later. So I just would like start conversations and I would ask questions. And my father is a very emotionally unintelligent person, and I watched my mom for decades deal with that, and she found ways of like working with that. They're divorced now, but when I was watching it, I learned I learned new techniques, and so I used those, and I just like would ask a lot of questions and would basically try to help him formulate some of the things that I was looking, like answers that I needed. And instead of asking this like very big broad question and hoping he would like nitpick it and give me all this stuff. So our conversations would last a long time. And then he was very good at telling me about what he needed to. Like the next day after like a big, like an emotional conversation we might have had the night before, like he would say like, I just kind of like need today to like recoup and recharge that battery. Like I'm emotionally depleted. And I knew that that meant like I couldn't be as needy as I maybe wanted to be that day or something. You know, it's a give and take. And then there was other days where I'm like, I did not sleep last night and I had a really fucked up dream, and I've been just like an emotional wreck since 2:00 in the morning, and I'm mad about things that I can't do anything about because he's dead and I can't put him in jail. So like, I just need like a hug, or I need you to go to the park with me today or something, you know? And we were good at asking each other for what we needed. And then we worked together too, so that was fun. We like were making the same friends and we had the same things to talk about. And then the pandemic screwed it all up.
So what changed during the pandemic? Like what, because when I spoke with Devin, he basically said that the way that he approached his depression during the pandemic changed, you know, the dynamic of your relationship. Like he stopped opening up, he stopped communicating, he just didn't really understand what was going on in his head. But like, how did you see that?
I saw that same thing. Not going to the gym. Going to the gym was also another thing we were doing together. Like I had the environmental thing I was bringing to the relationship, and he had like the physical aspect, like the gym and working out, bringing it to the relationship. Because I hadn't worked out a lot since the whole thing with Austin, and I didn't feel really great about my body. And so like when we stopped working out, that really did a toll on his like just overall drive to get out of bed and do anything really. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, sleep to noon because what else am I gonna do? And then I'll play video games because what else am I gonna do? And then I was like, I'm still a productive person even when I don't have something to do. Like there's always something I can think of to do together, or weird or fun, or I don't know, anything. Like, we could play a freaking board game. I started, when I wasn't getting the attention from him because he was sleeping or didn't want to, or he'd say like maybe later or whatever, I would call up my girlfriends on FaceTime, and then we would sit and drink together. And I think that was like a kind of thing that happened everywhere, like Zoom happy hours. And, you know, like people, it was all over social media of just how much booze everyone was drinking. And he's not a drinker, and he's got a serious PTSD response with it because of his mom. And I thought that because we met at a bar and him serving me, and the fact that he knew this about me and we talked about it, and there was no indication I was never gonna not drink just because of this thing that he had with it, I didn't realize that it was like traumatizing him, and he didn't tell me. And then he would just pull farther away. It was like he was becoming unattracted to me. And so then I was like, why is he not wanting to touch me? Like, why did we stop having sex? We like, there's nothing else to do. That's all we should be doing. And come to find out, like, it was slightly medical with testosterone levels, but at the same time, it was like, you know, you've had a sex drive your whole life, and you know the sex between us was crazy and amazing, and then now all of a sudden it's gone. Like, wouldn't you want it back too? And so I stopped asking all those questions and like prying. I was like wanting him to like make some grown-up decisions for himself, and like realize some of these things, and notice that I was now pulling away too, and I was unhappy. And he didn't notice. I still to this day, it really surprises me that he didn't notice. And even though I told him several times, there would be moments later where he's like, I didn't know that. And I'm like, I told you that I was unhappy.
I remember him saying that the lowest point of his depression was when you guys split up. Yeah, and I think it still affects him to this day. You know, and a lot of things he wished he could take back. You know, he said he wished he communicated more. He wished he told you things more. And I think that's also like a common thing across, especially people I've spoken to doing this podcast, is the communication when somebody is feeling depressed and the effect it has on your relationship. Like, it really does wear people down, you know? Like, people don't know how to respond to it. It pushes people away. Like, not just, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend, but like, you know, I mean, personally, I've taken my depression out on my friends before, you know, without even knowing it, you know, and like, you know, they don't know what's going on. They just think I'm being an asshole. You know, so it's
tough. And it's a scale. I thought of it as like this scale between him and I. Like, we're both on the depression scale, and sometimes one person has it more than another. And for me, like, our vows, just like the fact that we were married, and this was our first year of marriage, and like through better, worse, sickness and health, rich or poor, all that stuff, like, that, I meant that shit. And I was just like, it kind of is defeating when I feel like I have to say everything all the time in black and white and hand it to the person on a silver platter. Sometimes I wish they would just be a little bit more aware of their surroundings. If I have to ask every time for somebody to do something, it defeats the purpose of them being there.
What was the breaking point for you?
The breaking point for me was when, it's hard to tell. I wasn't happy when I found out that he failed the firefighting exam. And then I found out that he had the breaking point for me was when I found out that he had like an account for like a sugar daddy thing, and which is fine. Like, I was a webcam model. We all were aware of that. I started an OnlyFans when that became a thing. The thing is, though, it was so weird that he had done. He said it. Oh, I was just trying to find a way to make money. It's like, okay, but like literally, I do this. Like, yeah. I've been doing this for years. I've been selling myself online. Like, I've got some pointers and tips, and like, for a long time, you didn't even want to talk to me about this stuff because like you were jealous or like felt weird about it, and now you're doing it behind my back. Like, this is just so weird. Like, I don't care that you're doing it. Why didn't you tell me? Like, it doesn't make sense why you didn't tell me, because I'm like the most understanding person. Like, I am all ears all the time. And he knew that too. And he didn't have a good reason, and he never had a good reason of why he didn't tell me something till 9-10 months later. And so I was just like, I can't with this. Like, I can't physically rip the words out of your mouth. And if you're not going to tell me, like, I can't with this anymore.
Did you try and get him like into therapy? Did you try and get him any alternative help? Like, just wouldn't take it?
He half-assed tried. He did therapy, but it was whenever he felt like he needed therapy, he would do like a Zoom session with her. And then one day he thought that like something was happening for me. Like, the one time he went in person, he thought like something dramatic was happening in our relationship. And so he left therapy early. And I'm like, no, that's when you need to be there. It's like in these moments. And yeah. It was frustrating because like all of the things that he needed to do for himself, I would tell him to do these things. And he didn't do them until he left, or until I left. And now he's doing them. Now he's doing all of those things.
Do you think he didn't want to do them, or it was just like didn't know how? Like, what's your take on that?
I don't think he knew how. And I think the fact that I was there and such an open communicator, I think he was looking for me to help him with it, but not help him with it. Because he's not one to take anybody's advice. Like,
I noticed that.
He learns on his own.
Yeah.
And because he's always done everything on his own. So I completely get that. But if you decide to put a ring on it and you want to do that with somebody, then you got to change your behaviors a little bit. So yeah, I tried, but yeah, it was just, and then I was like, well, how about not sleeping till noon and only drinking coffee all day? Like, I know you can't go to the gym, but there's a playground right around the corner, and we can go like do a playground workout, or like my mom buys this workout app online, like let's move the living room table, and let's do it together. And then he had like a special diet, so we never ate meals together even. And like, I couldn't cook for him, and I love cooking. I'm Lebanese, like we feed people. And it's just, there was just so many things that we couldn't do together because he had chosen to like live a different lifestyle and like didn't want to combine them at all. So
there was no middle ground there at all?
Yeah.
No, I understand like the gym thing, because like, I mean, that's my sanctuary out of the house too. Like, I don't want to work out at home. I want to go to a gym because that's my space. I can put on some music, I can listen to a podcast, like I can get away from everybody for an hour and a half. Like, I get that part. But I can understand how, I mean, it's a pandemic. You guys aren't going anywhere. Like, you can't have the same diet, the same lifestyle, because the whole world is shut down. Like, you may as well try new things. you know?
Right. It's not like you're singled out, Devin. It's
Yeah.
like everybody's doing this.
Yeah, I mean, we did a similar thing. Like, my wife loves to cook. I like to eat. So it's like, but we would like, go in the kitchen, we'd open a bottle of wine together. Like, we just make something, like it was, I mean,
and then you can like talk about whatever, like, and like he was always in this room and I was always in that room. It was like the pandemic, we just got farther. We lived like a totally different schedule. Like, I wake up at 8 a.m. every day, or it's earlier than that now, but like 8 a.m. is like the latest I'm in bed. And if I'm in bed, it's because somebody's in bed with me and we're like watching a movie and it's like a rainy day or something. But it was just like we never did anything together anymore.
So you're like living two separate lives under the same roof during a pandemic.
Under a very small roof, apartment with 5 dogs and no backyard.
You guys had 5 dogs?
He had 3 and I have my 2. And he has 3 big ones and I've got 1 big one and 1 small one.
Wow. I didn't know you.
And so I was the one going to the park all day, every day. I would go to Shawnee Mission Park for like 3-4 hours and like hang out by the water and like have this beautiful day, and I'd get home and he's still sleeping. And I would ask him to come with me. There was always a reason why he couldn't.
So looking back on that situation, is there anything you would have done differently? Dealing with what he was going through with his depression, is there anything you would have done differently?
Wouldn't have gotten married. I wish we would have dated for a lot longer and slower. I think we would have lasted. I think we would have been able to overcome all of these things if we just would have taken it slower. It was just like, he's a hopeless romantic and so am I. And I'd pretty much like given up on, like, I just didn't want to look anymore. And like, he was swept off of his feet and I think he still is, but and I know that he still wants it, and I know why he wanted it that fast. I just wish we would have slowed it down, because it kind of, now I think it's only really on my side where it's like trust has to be rebuilt if that was ever to go down that road again. I'm not saying that it would never be a possibility. I mean, he's a really good guy and he still like wants to, it's frustrating. He wants to do all the things I need him to be doing if he was my husband or I needed him to be doing then. Yeah. He's like offering them now.
So let's go back and talk about Amanda Pierce for a minute. So you think about, I mean, I've heard a lot today. You think about all the shittiest, darkest things that have happened to you over your life, and I have never heard anything like this, and I'm old. I've been everywhere.
You're not old.
Getting a little bit. What has all this taught you about yourself?
It's taught me I'm resilient. It's taught me that I am capable of a lot more than I thought I was. I honestly don't know how or where it comes from, because people have asked me before how I've maintained like a positive outlook or tried to see the silver linings in all of the bullshit. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from, and I don't know why it hasn't like wavered. If anything, like every heartbreak I've had has just made me want to be in love that much more. Like, I'm just resilient and I'm just capable of a lot, and damn it, I'm gonna live until I die of old age, and that's what's gonna happen. And I'm gonna do all the things that I know I was put on this earth to do, and there's gonna be a lot of other shit that happens. Like, honestly, with my life, it's like Murphy's Law. Like, what can go wrong fucking goes wrong. It's like, it's honestly incredible, like the amount of shit that goes wrong in the simplest of tasks. But like, there's just so much more to live for, and there's so many things to live for that depend on me. like my mom, my dogs, my family.
So if you think back to how you were, like, I mean, your first big traumatic event was at 14, and you go through periods of life where it's, you know, you try and understand what happened, you're angry, you're upset, you're depressed, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Like, do you think it gets where you are today? Like, super traumatic thing that happened to you, and then you go through life and it's like one shitty thing after another. Like, you know, sometimes, you know, you're angry, sometimes you're upset. Like, do you think you'd be where you are today, like positive and happy with and this really awesome outlook on life? You know, like it's super cool. You know, like, did you expect that? Like,
No. When I look back to the quiet, depressed, walk through the hallways like this, wear black, I was a cutter, I did not ever think that I was gonna like be happy. I just thought like it was just gonna be this depressing decline into adulthood. And I at that point I had the only two male figures in my life were my dad and this guy, and my dad hadn't been the best always either. No, I did not expect this at all, and I'm thoroughly and happily surprised that it did.
I'm surprised too. I mean, you know, anybody else that, you know, went through what you did would be they'd be struggling, not gonna lie. You know, like
and there's been times, not gonna lie, I mean, I've been really down, really depressed, like just sitting on my bathroom floor, like just crying for hours and just like being like, is this it? Is this what life is supposed to be? Like, it's been hard, and like there's definitely been a lot of heartbreak and a lot of tears and a lot of disappointment. It's been the thing that helped me get out of that disappointment and that cycle is realizing that I have what I need, that like I can give myself the things that I need, and I don't have to like find it in a man. I don't have to find it in a best girlfriend, because I've never really had one of those. And I'm fucking broke as hell right now. But like I'm gonna have money someday, and I have what I need. That's been helpful. And definitely movies. Oh my God, I swear by it. It's my therapy.
I was going to ask you, like, what are you doing now for therapy? Do you still like to see professional help? Obviously, you watch a fuck ton of movies, but I mean, what else do you work out still? Do you go to therapy? Medication? Like,
no medication, healthy diet, not drinking right now. For me, that's what's working. I just like, honestly, like on a science chemical level, it's like just giving me anxiety the next day. Like I literally don't know why. I'm like, I feel fine. There's nothing wrong. I've met all my deadlines. Like, why am I feeling anxious? And so it's just like an uncomfortable feeling. So I just don't have a desire to feel that. Music, I'm not going to a professional therapist right now, unfortunately, because I don't have time. I would like to try hypnosis, though. That's my next form of therapy. Yes.
Okay.
I would like to try some hypnosis, and I really would like to go back to Peru and do ayahuasca. I'm not a big person in thinking that like, let's take some psychedelics and figure it out. I've never gone down that route or been really supportive of it. However, when I did go there and lived with my sister I skipped the whole tourist route because she had been living there for a couple years, and like I just went right into society. And I feel like it would be a good thing to do when I'm not feeling in a super traumatic place, when I feel like I need to like let go of some of that stuff, is when I would want to do it, not go through it. I want to go through it sober and process it. I would like to get back into therapy when I'm done with school in May. And then probably, I'm gonna say like 35. I'd like to like 35, go and do that and just like have like a release of things.
So all that negative energy just gone.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Indigenous people and the way that they treat things naturally.
So let's just say you have a time machine, like, you know, again, going back to that traumatic event when you were 14 and every subsequent event, like, what advice would you give your previous self in managing all this bullshit?
I would say tell my family.
Yeah.
Like instantly, right now, get up, go talk to them, go tell them. And then tell them everything from here on out and be like really honest and open. Like, keep your family by your side as a support system. And if you don't have that with them, then find one. Like, but honestly, like, the family's the best one. And I needed, like, in the shower when I got that text sneaking back in my house at 5:30 in the morning, take a shower. I wish I could go back in time to that moment, grip my phone out of my hand and go immediately, like, tell my mom and go and get a rape kit and put that bastard in jail. That's the moment that would have changed my life forever.
I mean, it's again, I've never been speechless hearing someone tell me a story like this before. Like, it's just, it's heartbreaking, to say the least. But you're strong.
Thank you.
Like, it's, you know,
Thanks.
like, I mean, you know, not to sound like cliche, but like, you know, what you've been through and where you are now, like, it is an inspiration to a lot of people, especially those that don't have a voice, you know, that have been through, you know, not similar things, but, you know, it's like they need to talk to people because people want to help for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had random people, I have no idea who they are, reach out to me on Instagram and just be like, thanks for saying this out loud, and like just talking about it.
So outside of all of this, what's next for you? Where do you go from here?
I'm gonna save the world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight climate change, and I'm going to figure out some way to stop putting harmful carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. I don't know. I'm gonna come up with something, and then I'm gonna leave my mark on this world scientifically. And really just like, I love learning, and I've got that from my mom, and I've learned so much in the last 2 years, and I'm really proud of myself, and I've accomplished. It's looking around at my friends who are like getting married and having kids and buying houses. Not that I want that. It's just always been this like comparing me to other people my age and what I haven't done. And I didn't do it at the right time frame. Like, I should have been graduated from college at 24, you know, and like had a job by 25. And so it's nice to be like caught up to everyone else. Not that I ever really wanted to be there at that time frame, because I have a lot of other experiences that they don't have with traveling and stuff. But it feels good to be like, okay, I'm going to be able to financially support myself. And also, it's something that I'm so incredibly passionate about. So let's fucking do this. Let's go up against the government.
I believe you, and I don't want to be that government. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on today. just wow.
Thank you for having me. This has been great. This was like a nice therapy session for me.
Well, I mean, you have my number, so anytime you want to chat, like, my phone is always on.
Thank you.
And, yeah, for all of you out there, please just talk to somebody. That's all I got to fucking say. I'm out of words today. But
yeah, talk to someone. I mean, millions and billions of people out there. Somebody should talk to you.
But, again, thank you, and we'll see you guys on next episode. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.